Logan genetically engineered a new type of fir tree and a new type of pine tree. So that means that Logan, maybe this is actually based off of Wolverine, because Wolverine was named Logan and he was genetically engineered. He engineered a new type of fir tree and a new type of pine tree. So here is a fir tree. A fir tree is like a Christmas tree. And a pine tree is kind of like a fir tree. It's a special kind of, a fir tree is a special kind of pine tree. So we've got these two different kinds of trees. The combined height of one fir tree and one pine tree is 21 meters. So I'm going to add these two things together and it's going to make 21. The height of 4 fir trees stacked on top of each other is 24 meters taller than one pine tree. How tall are the types of trees that Logan genetically engineered? So in the question is where I can define my variables, the types of trees. So there are fir trees and there are pine trees. And I'm going to define my variables first. F for fir and P for pine. And now I can turn the statement up here into two equations. In other words, there's two variables, fir and pine, and I need two equations to solve this. The first condition is the easiest one to find, and it's the most similar to the problems we've already signed. The combined heights of one fir tree plus one pine tree is 21 meters. So I can turn that immediately into an equation by combining one fir plus one pine, and when I combine those two it makes 21 meters. So the first condition is that a fir tree plus a pine tree is 21 meters tall. The second one is unlike any example that I've given you so far, and word problems, there's so many different kinds of possibilities I can't give them all to you. I just have to translate. The height of 4 fir trees stacked on top of each other is 21 meters taller than one pine tree. So if I take, alright, so I've got a situation here where the height of 4 fir trees stacked on each other is 24 meters? 24 meters. Taller than one pine tree. And I've drawn a picture here of a fir tree and a pine tree. The height of 4 of those fir trees stacked on each other, 4 of these fir trees stacked on top of each other, is equal to the height of a single pine tree is 24 meters taller than one pine tree. So that means that these 4 are still 24 more than this pine tree. And then 4 fir trees stacked on each other, so that's 1 fir tree, 4, 2, 3, 4, so this is 4 fir trees. 4 fir trees are equal to 1 pine tree plus 24 more. So the height of 4 fir trees stacked on each other is 24 meters taller than a single pine tree. And I can turn this into an equation. 4 fir trees is equal to 1 pine tree plus 24. And that is now going to be my second equation. 4 fir trees stacked on each other is equal to a single pine tree plus 24 more. So I've defined my variables, and I've got a system of equations that I'm going to solve. And I want the 2 fir trees, fir plus pine, to total up to 21. I'm going to use that to guess what my F and what my P are going to be. And then the second condition is that this should be equal to that. So let's set up a table. And going across the table, this is actually a pretty easy problem. The hardest part was figuring out the second equation here. So I'm going to guess fir trees and pine trees in a way that they add up to 21. And then my two conditions, 4 fir trees stacked on each other should be 24 taller than a single pine tree. So let's start guessing for fir and pine. And I happen to have some students in here so they can guess what fir and pine need to be. I need somebody to tell me 2 numbers that add up to 21. Your choice. Fir and pine add up to 21. 15 and 6. So let's see, 4 of those fir trees on top of each other would be 4 times 15 is 60. And 1 pine tree plus 24 more would just be 30. So that's nowhere close. I'm looking for these to be equal to each other. So let me switch them around because I think that the bigger number needs to be in the pine tree. So let's see, 4 times 6 is 24, and 15 and 24, 15 plus 24, 15 plus 24 is 39, and those are still not equal to each other. And you need to continue guessing until you figure out how many fir trees and pine trees they have to add up to make 21. And secondly, 4 fir trees should be equal to or should be 24 taller than a single pine tree.